What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another installment segment of the Final Fantasy trading card game set review, Dawn of Heroes set review. Today we're covering the Earth cards, and Earth has always been one of my favorites, probably my second favorite next to Water, and so I think we got some interesting cards, but I don't think we got anything to make a big impact this set. So let's get into it. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong later, but as always, thank you for watching and dropping a like. Really helps out the channel, so always appreciate that. Let's get going. We have Arca Sodara. This guy looks like he's straight out of Star Wars. I've never seen this guy in 14. Obviously I didn't play 14 long enough, but that's neither here nor there. When he enters the field, choose a dual forward your opponent controls. Choose a dual forward. Sorry. If your opponent doesn't pay 3, break it. I think it's pretty solid. One of in a maybe a 14 deck. I just think it's a decent amount of removal that kind of like taxes your opponent too. It's very interesting. I don't know what's more like. Obviously, they won't pay it unless that forward is very important. And the later the game goes and the backups are established, this card doesn't do too much because they'll just tap out, pitch 1 maybe. But it's pretty good in sealed and limited, so should see more play there than anywhere else. We have Antilleon 4. When backup enters the field or a backup you control leaves the field until the end of the turn, Antilleon becomes a forward 9,000 power. 9,000 power. And when Antilleon is dealt damage, choose up to one forward your opponent controls, deal the same amount of damage. This effect will only trigger once per turn. So it's cool. He has an interesting effect. His condition is the problem, right? Like, you'd have to have a lot of interchangeable or breakable backups, or just play him early on enough where he becomes a problem on the turns you're setting up. You're going out for. So I think his effect is cool. I just think his condition is what's going to limit him from seeing actual play. Ignis. When Ignis enters the field, you may put a backup you control into the break zone. When you do so, choose a forward, break it. When you do so, when a backup you control is put from the field in the break zone, choose a forward in the break zone and add it to your hand. This effect will only trigger during your turn and only once per turn. So I guess right off the bat, these two will pair. They would pair well together. On you play Antilleon one turn, then Ignis next turn to kind of like kill something, activate the other guy. And then he can try to attack and step things up. Yeah, that's he's got a really cool effect. I think Ignis is a very strong card. 5 for 9 is pretty much what we're kind of like hoping for from out of 5 costs, with like a lot of effects, right? So he's gonna get you, he's gonna kill something, he's gonna get you a card back and open up space in your back row. He does a lot for a rare, and I think he's very cool. I think he will definitely see play, and yeah, hopefully it's not too broken. But Retainer's got some cool stuff this set. Ifalna, tap X and tap, put Ifalna in the break zone. Choose an Earth forward in your break zone. If its cost is X, play it onto the field. You can only use ability during your turn. This is probably I think the one of the most interesting ones that we got. It's a good way to bring forwards back from the break zone and straight into the field. Anything with an ATB2 should just is going to be max beneficial for this. But this is a good way to bring back Warrior of Light as well. So yeah, I definitely think I think this would be a one of in most decks, in most Earth based decks, but definitely something we can use all the time, I think. Aerith Warp 2. When Aerith enters the field due to a summon or an ability, choose a forward in your break zone, add it to your hand. A pretty decent effect, nothing too extraordinary, but gets us something back. So a little more recursion from this set too for Earth. Chaos. This is probably one of my favorite one actually. When Chaos enters the field, you may search for a dark forward of cost 4 or less and play it onto the field. For 2 Earth, remove Chaos and 2 dark characters in your break zone from the game. Choose a forward. Break it. You can only use this ability during your turn and if Chaos is in the break zone. So that first effect is really fun to me, man. I think getting Ultimecia, Kadaj, or even like I think those are the only ones that I like out from your deck, like turn 1, maybe turn 2, is just gonna set quite an interesting like situation for your opponent, right? Because Kadaj has that blink thing, and then Ultimecia is just like kind of causing your opponent to pay extra for cards, and so I like what this can do. I don't know if it's if it's gonna be enough for us to want to play it though, right? But yeah, so we can go on to the next one here. Leather Worker, generic 2-cost backup. We got the set. If 3 or more Earth backups cost, if you control 3 or more Earth backups, he's free. So pretty good. Siren. When he enters the field or attacks, gain a crystal. Crystal, he gains 2,000 power to the turn. And Dark Shower, choose a forward, deal it 3,000 damage for each point of damage you receive. So I know for a fact in sealed he's kind of annoying. But I wonder if he'll be playable in standard. The ability to generate crystals is very nice. The only other thing that generates on attack, I believe, is the Agrius that's getting the August promo that we're getting reprinted, but is from the older sets. But I like the ability to gain crystals on attacks. So and he has his own use for them to kind of keep him alive and going forward. So I think he's cool. Obviously, he can be straight broken, but in the damage battle he'll kind of survive a lot. So Gigas FFCC, when he enters the field, choose a forward. It gains this forward cannot attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. And then Earth and 2 Earth in the colors, put Gigas in the break zone, choose a forward, deal 8,000 damage. So a pretty decent like deterrent, right? Like you can slow your opponent down. And then on the next turn you can kind of just break it or break something to kind of keep them off bay. I don't know if it's enough. The monster slots in the monster decks or any kind of slots really is just always tight, so I question his value overall. Kimari, choose a forward you control other than Kimari. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it is dealt to Kimari instead. You can only use this ability once per turn. Discard an Earth card. During this turn, the next damage dealt to Kimari is reduced by 4,000. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing this. It's too expensive, right? 5 for this to kind of try to sway damage in one turn, and then I have to discard to like reduce the damage too. It's just too expensive for me. Kimari, unfortunately, I feel like hasn't had ever gotten any decent cards. Like, we thought the Water Guardian one would be great, but we never saw it outside of title, I think. Excuse me. And then the backup makes random appearances every now and then because now we can search it, and a little more now because we can search it with Buddy. But I think this was, kind of a miss for me. Miner is probably the best card. When Miner enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and add a backup among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom in any order. You can tap 2, put Miner to the break zone, and draw a card. I like this a lot. Definitely for Sealed and Limited, it's one of the stronger cards, but also in general, I think when we're playing like ramp decks or like kind of like mid-range decks, this is gonna be an ideal situation where you can find the cards you need, at least backups, right? When you're kind of going for this, let's say you're 2 backups in, and you play Miner, get one of those Leather Workers free, and kind of things like that. So the ramp game is very nice with something like this. It seems cool. I don't know. Last thought, actually, in theory too, a lot of decks are playing less and less backups, more forwards, more summons. So I wonder if this might actually hold up in general because of the way deck building has kind of evolved over the last few sets. So Cecil, this guy's a very cheeky guy. I don't want to get into all the rules thing, but his ability, you can pay for 1 Earth and 1 Water to cast Cecil. If you do so, Cecil in his field deals you a point of damage. Is getting a lot of like weird attention, but make sure you guys know. Make sure to read the FAQ on these ones later. But put Cecil in the break zone, search for a card named Cecil with Jaw Paladin and play it on the field. And then S, Earth, choose a forward, deal 8,000. So the fact that he can be his cost reduced is great. Deals you a point of damage is always good. There's more damage threshold cards that we want to reach. 2 for 9 take a damage isn't bad, and then you can, you know, send him to the break zone and bring another one from the deck. So deck filtration. We talked about this one when he was first revealed too, but he's pretty good, man. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of paladin options as well for the other one. So I mean, like the one to switch into. So it's very cool. I think this card is going to make a big impact this set as well. Sonon. If you have a card named Melfi in your break zone, Sonon gains 1,000 power and brave. For Earth and another crystal, remove Sonon and card named Melfi in your break zone from this game. Draw a card. You can only use this ability if Sonon's in the break zone. I don't think this is like, it's cool, I guess, but it's not a big deal for me. These are big passes for me. The legendary Chifa. Tifa cannot become dull by your opponent summons your abilities. When Tifa enters the field, discard 2 cards. And for 2 CP, Tifa can attack once more this turn. You can only pay with CP produced by backups to use this ability. This is going to be a fun card, and I won't doubt that a lot of people are going to try to use this. We already have a way to give her haste, so like innately, like Zangan, just search her and then hold her when you're ready to go out and attack, and she's going to be able to you know, squeak in a few attacks a turn, which is always dangerous, right? And the discard 2 isn't as bad when you're playing very efficiently, right? Like at high level play, you're going to open your turn with 5, draw into 7, play her, tap 1 for her, and then, you know, go down to 4. So it's not the worst thing, right? It isn't avoidable as far as I can tell, right? It's because whenever she enters the field, there's no way to put her into the field without having to enter the field or whatever. So the discard thing is only unavoidable unless you have no cards in hand, which is kind of already bad for you. You're kind of just hoping to get away with, you know, the game here. It could be a potential, right? You can go wide, have the avalanche cloud just give everyone haste. She will come in. I'm pretty sure she can be brought back with him as well. So you can effectively go handless, deal 10k or give everyone haste and bring her back, and then just have your whole backup line, you know, attack or be ready to be used for CP for her ability or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. I think she'll see a lot of play. She is a fan favorite, and she has, you know, a real high potential to steal games really quickly. So yeah, be on the lookout for her. Noctis. When Noctis enters the field, choose a forward until the end of the turn. It gains 2,000 power and brave. When Noctis is put from the field in the break zone, you may put a character you control into the break zone. When you do so, plate Noctis from the break zone onto the field dull. Noctis gains 2,000 power. So he kind of has like a weird warp recurring kind of thing. Being able to put a character you control in the break zone is interesting, right? We have a lot of effects that are like contingent on leaving or like being replaced. So like if we look at the Ignis from earlier, if you choose a backup, bring him back, you'll get another forward back. And so and then the Antelion would trigger, for example. And it's just, you know, some of the cards that we've just talked about here, but you know, the best thing about this deck is getting creative with cards like this. And so I think he's cool. He's a very strong, he has a lot of potential. So we'll see if, you know, this new set of the boys will make their way into the meta. Reprints, Geomancer. Fake Brave. If 1 or less time counters are placed on Fake, Fake cannot attack or block. When you receive a point of damage, place 1 time counter on Fake. So he needs at least 2 to work. I tried it in my limited pool or my sealed pool, like playing him turn 1. He just got killed, and then I couldn't do anything. Or I took 2 damage, and then he got killed or whatever. He doesn't really do much. I'm not sure this card's gonna see a lot of play. I'm not gonna waste you know, I'm not gonna waste slots in a deck to catch people like with silly like blanking battle tricks and stuff like that. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm not convinced. I don't think so. Fenrir. Fenrir, choose a forward of cost 2 or less. The cost required to cast Fenrir is reduced by 1. Choose a forward against this forward cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons until the end of the turn. I think it's cool that this is like, if this can become a free summon if the forward it's saving is 2 or less. So definitely a lot of 2 or less stuff that that we like to protect. I know we have a lot of 2-cost hate in general. Again, it's specific on being able to be, cannot be chosen, right? So, Ixion or whatever, it kind of just steps on our heels here, but I think it's cool. And for 1 CP, like, protecting anything over 3 cost isn't bad either. So just, I don't know if it's gonna earn the space though. Like, protection is always nice, but I think most people prioritize removal in general, right? And that's just the way I feel. So Mira, when Mira enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and add 1 monster among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. You can put Mira into the break zone, choose a monster against this character cannot be broken until the end of the turn. I don't think there's, outside of Atomos, and maybe now seeing more Ramus, 3-cost lightning Ramus being played, do I think of a world where I need to like make sure my monsters this monster cannot be broken. Now, if it was all monsters cannot be broken, this is a different story, but it's not. It's limited to 1. She's not a big deal. I think we still prefer the other Mira. I always find myself saying that too, because we've had so many Miras over the last few sets. Or at least like it feels like it, because I think we got 2 in 1 set or something. But yeah, she's cool. But I think again the other one will be better. The Magus Sisters, 14. They cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons. The forwards your opponent controls lose haste, and the forwards your opponent controls cannot gain haste. You can discard a summon, tap and discard a summon to choose a forward, deal at 8,000. We talked about this one before. I wonder, it's definitely a tech card for meta problems. Outside of that, like, if Scions ends up becoming a big deal and 13 is still like really unchecked for some reason, which currently I'm still sure it will be, like, it'll still be make its rotations in the meta. I think maybe a 1 of or maybe a 2 of this card might be important for certain decks. Just an easy way to like say no to a lot of things, and so it has potential to be a good tech choice. But outside of that, I don't know how much we'll rest on this card. So and Leo, look at this crazy card. King category, ffcg forwards you control gain 1,000 power. And when Leo enters the field, you may search for a ffcg forward of cost 4 or less and play it onto the field. He has a 6 cost, so the value is there. I think he's an interesting card because it, we're used to playing 6 costs to like search. But the value is there if you're able to do the new Yuri and Chelenka from this set, or and there's maybe a few other options you can kind of benefit from here too. But I think his strength also comes from giving everyone, like all the FFCC guys, just 1,000 power too, which is kind of stronger than you might anticipate. So I think it's a decent card. I love the art. Alright guys, this one was, I think it's kind of short. I feel like I've gone through these a little quicker because I feel like there wasn't much to say, honestly. Earth is probably, in my opinion, the most underwhelming color of this set. If I have to rank them, right, we have Ifauna, Ignis, and Chaos, and then followed by Noctis for sure, and then Leo. Like, those are my top 5 picks. With like honorable mentions are probably the Siren and the Magus Sisters. Obviously, the legendaries are a different story, so I'm not, Cecil and Tifa are gonna be, I already said that, right? Oh, actually, yeah, let's do it one more time. It's gonna be Ignis, Ifauna, Chaos, Minor, and Leo, or Noctis, I guess. Probably Leo more than Noctis, but those are the interesting, the outliers for me, like the ones that probably see like the most play, if anything. And yeah, again, these 2 legendaries might make a lot of impact, but the rest of them are just, I feel like, are a little underwhelming. I could be wrong. Obviously, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about Earth this set. Are you big on Fenrir at all? Or Arkasodara, any one of these really. But yeah, make sure to share your thoughts, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the other set reviews, and yeah, happy deck building, guys.